In the spring of 1920, Jerusalem stood at a dangerous crossroads. British authorities struggled to maintain order as political tensions boiled over across the ancient streets. Ancient stone walls echoed with growing rumors of unrest. Jewish communities living in historic quarters felt increasingly exposed, vulnerable and completely unprotected by existing security forces. The new British military administration was spread thin across the region. Their local garrisons were unprepared to handle sudden civil disturbances, leaving ordinary citizens to fend for themselves. For generations, Jewish families relied on Ottoman protection or informal local watchmen. Now, in the wake of shifting empires, those traditional safeguards had completely vanished overnight. Fear gripped the neighborhoods as warnings spread from house to house. People realized that nobody was coming to rescue them if violence erupted in the darkness. Whispers turned into frantic warnings during daylight hours. Merchants closed their shops early, and families gathered indoors, praying that the rising anger outside would somehow subside. Then the Nebi Musa riots broke out. Mobs surged into the old city streets, leaving destruction in their wake and proving that Jewish neighborhoods lacked any active defense. Windows shattered and homes were ransacked while helpless residents watched in horror. The terrible tragedy highlighted an urgent life-or-death need for immediate self-protection. Communities across Palestine faced the harsh reality of abandonment. Relying on foreign rulers or goodwill was no longer an option if families wanted to survive. As the smoke cleared, the mood shifted from despair to resolute determination. Ordinary people vowed that they would never again stand completely unarmed while their homes burned. Neighbors began organizing impromptu night watches. Armed only with clubs and whistles, young men patrolled the perimeter alleys to deter opportunistic looters and protect sleeping families. The collective grief galvanized the Jewish leadership in Palestine. They realized that previous watchman groups like Hashomer were too small to handle a widespread crisis. Hashomer had protected remote agricultural settlements, but urban centers required an entirely new scale of organization, discipline, and secrecy to safeguard the growing population. Secret meetings commenced in hidden basements and back rooms. Jewish leaders and working-class delegates debated how to build a unified force that answered to the community. Inside the dimly lit cellar, faces reflected absolute resolve. Workers, intellectuals, and farmers sat together, united by the singular mission to forge an underground defense network. Every person in the room understood the immense personal risk. Discovery by British intelligence or hostile factions meant imprisonment, exile, or worse for everyone involved. They debated the structure of the new organization. Unlike political factions, this force needed broad representation, strict discipline, and absolute independence from external authorities. There was no government backing, no official uniforms, and no legal status. It was entirely a grassroots initiative born out of sheer necessity and survival. Thus, in June 1920, the Haganah was officially born. Its Hebrew name translated simply to the defense, marking a historic turning point for the Jewish community. Eli signed his name on the secret membership roster alongside bakers, teachers, and laborers. Each signature represented a pledge to protect their neighbors at any cost. Setting up clandestine communication channels was the immediate priority. Messages had to travel swiftly between Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and outlying settlements without arousing suspicion. Members used their everyday occupations as natural cover. Bakers, delivery boys, and craftsmen moved freely across checkpoints while carrying vital underground intelligence. Inside flour sacks and cart axles, secret dispatches reached remote outposts. The network operated in absolute shadows, relying on trust, discretion, and unbreakable community solidarity. However, courage alone could not stop an armed mob. The newly formed Haganah faced a desperate shortage of weapons, ammunition, and proper military equipment. Members scoured abandoned Ottoman military camps, scavenged rusty rifles from battlefields, and smuggled handguns piece by piece past strict British customs inspections. Training took place in secluded olive groves under the cover of night. Recruits learned basic tactics, hand signals, and how to defend positions against overwhelming odds. Recruits practiced silent movement and night navigation. Every member had to learn how to patrol alleys without making a sound and signal danger instantly. Leaders emphasized strict discipline over reckless retaliation. The Haganah was built to protect communities, not to start conflicts or engage in lawless vigilantism. A strict code of ethics governed the underground force. Members were taught to value human life, protect civilians, and use force only as an absolute last resort. Women played vital, courageous roles within the underground network. They served as couriers, intelligence agents, and frontline medics, proving indispensable to the daily survival of the force. In bustling bazaars and quiet street corners, intelligence was exchanged in split seconds. A dropped coin or a passed basket meant the difference between safety and discovery. The underground network quickly expanded beyond Jerusalem. Cells sprouted in Tel Aviv, Haifa, and agricultural outposts across the coastal plain and Galilee hills. Isolated farming communities were no longer left to defend themselves alone. A centralized command structure ensured that help could be dispatched across districts when needed. Eli traveled to a young agricultural kibbutz to coordinate defense drills. Farmers learned how to transition smoothly from working the fields to manning defensive trench lines. The pioneering spirit merged seamlessly with military preparedness. Workers understood that cultivating the land and defending it were two sides of the same coin. Funding the underground required immense sacrifice from an impoverished population. Ordinary citizens willingly contributed their hard-earned coins to purchase weapons and support families. Widows, laborers, and merchants gave whatever they could spare. Every coin represented a shared investment in a safer, self-reliant future for the entire community. The threat of British discovery hung over every operation. Informants, spies, and strict military patrols meant that one careless mistake could shatter years of clandestine work. To evade detection, weapons caches were hidden in ingenious locations beneath floorboards, inside barn haylofts, and behind false walls in ordinary workshops. Eli inspected a false bottom built into a carpenter's workbench. Tools rested on top while functional defense equipment stayed safely concealed underneath. What began as fragile, isolated cells evolved into a structured underground network. Local groups transformed into coordinated platoons with clear lines of communication. Regional commanders were appointed to oversee training, equipment distribution, and emergency response protocols, bringing professional order to grassroots enthusiasm. The strategy shifted from purely reactive defense to proactive neighborhood security. Patrols anticipated threats before they reached residential quarters. Eli reviewed a hand-drawn map of neighborhood patrol routes with his squad. Every alley, courtyard, and rooftop access point was cataloged for maximum tactical coverage. Night patrols moved quietly through darkened cobblestone streets. Their boots made barely a sound as they checked locks, windows, and perimeter gates. Sentinels stationed on high rooftops used coded lantern flashes to signal that all sectors were secure, ensuring instant communication across the sleeping city. Trust within the community deepened every night the patrols completed their rounds successfully. Residents slept soundly, knowing ordinary neighbors stood watch over their homes. The psychological shift was profound. Jews in Palestine transformed from passive victims of circumstance into active defenders of their own destiny and safety. Eli reflected on how much had changed in just a few short months. From the chaos of the riots emerged a disciplined, unbreakable underground protectorate. The Haganah quickly proved its worth during subsequent periods of heightened political tension, deterring potential attacks simply through its visible, organized presence. Even British authorities began to look the other way, recognizing that an orderly community defense force helped keep civil unrest under control across volatile districts. What started in a damp cellar in Jerusalem laid the absolute foundation for a future national militia that would eventually defend the reborn state. Standing shoulder to shoulder at dawn, members of the Haganah knew they had forged something permanent out of the ashes of tragedy and abandonment. Experienced pioneers gladly passed the torch of responsibility to younger recruits, ensuring that the defense network would endure through every future trial. Decades later, the underground defense organization would evolve into the literal backbone of a sovereign state's armed forces, rooted in these humble beginnings. Historians would forever record the names of those brave early volunteers who risked everything to protect their communities when no one else would. Eli often looked back at the humble cellar where it all began, marveling at how a handful of desperate citizens sparked an unstoppable historical movement. A legacy was forged in survival, unity, and quiet determination, proving that a united people can overcome the darkest threats imaginable. This remarkable underground network changed Jewish history forever, laying the groundwork for permanent security, self-reliance, and ultimate independence in the land of Israel. Standing armed and prepared ensured that Jewish communities would never again stand defenseless while their homes burned in the night. Subscribe to explore more hidden chapters of history, courage, and survival. Leave a comment below with your thoughts on Episode 1.